Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Danbury. Just a quick reminder, silence your cell phones before we begin. My name is Paula Hopewell, and I have been attending UUCD for 7 or 8 years and joined 3.5 years ago. What I like best is the constant flow of new things to think about and new points of view to consider. A few years ago, there was a service on sacred geometry. What's next? The Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Danbury has been gathering together for 200 years, and as we work to build a more just world, we respectfully acknowledge that our physical building is on the traditional land of the Paugussett people. I am so glad that you are able to join us this morning because you are an essential part of our celebration today. Whether today is your first or 1,000th Sunday in our midst, in person or online, we are stronger because you are with us. If you're new to our community and joining us online, we invite you to introduce yourself and you are connecting from in the chat box as you are comfortable. At the conclusion of today's service, you will have the chance to participate in a breakout group for individual connections and deeper check-ins. If you are new and here in person, please fill out a visitor card at the table near the exit before you leave today. We are one people of many beliefs, many origins, sexualities, and genders. We are all growing, all learning, all loved. Just as you are welcome here. We will be taking up a special collection today to support Ukrainian refugees. All money will go to the International Rescue Committee. The kids in the RE program have an Easter-related fundraising drive for refugees planned in April, so you'll have a second chance to donate beginning next week. Stay tuned for more details. The Common Council will meet at 11:30 a.m. in the Fellowship Hall lower level. Everyone is welcome. At this meeting, we'll discuss how can we reboot our various teams as we move into the newest phase of the pandemic. The choir will rehearse today at 11:45 a.m. Again, welcome to the UU Congregation of Danbury. Please join us for our hymn of welcome, number 368, Now Let Us Sing.
Remember, with this one, we got 2 parts, so it's a little bit peppy. Hope you're ready to wake up this morning. Pick a part if you have a lower voice, the Now Let Us Sing, and then we'll get started. All right, here we go.
Let's rise and rise.
Now let us sing to the power of the faith within. Now let us lift up your voice, be not afraid. Sing to the power of the faith within. Now let us sing to the power of the hope within. Now let us
Sing to the power of hope.
lift up your voice, be not afraid. Now let us
Sing to the power of love within. Sing to the power of love within.
lift up your voice, be not afraid. Sing to the power of the love within. Now let us
To the power of the joy within. Sing to the power of the joy within.
lift up your voice, be not afraid. Sing to the power of the joy within.
Be seated.
As we gather today, in person, online, may we be reminded here of our highest aspirations and inspired to bring our gifts of love and service to the altar of humanity. May we know once again we are not isolated beings, but connected in mystery and miracle to the universe, to this community, and to each other. It is good to be together. I invite our service associate, and we can let people come in and take their seats at this time. Deb is going to light our chalice and lead us in the words of affirmation.
Good morning, everyone. Please join me. The words are going to appear on the screen in our shared affirmation. Love is the spirit of this congregation, and justice is its light. This is our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek and speak the truth in love, to help one another and celebrate life. I'd like to invite Sierra Marie to lead us in our children's affirmation.
It is so good to be together. Let's say our words for our children's affirmation, which are on the screen. We are Unitarian Universalists. We are people with open minds, loving hearts, and helping hands. We care for the earth and each other. And we are about to start our Mystery Buddies reveal.
We are what you have heard, and sometimes things are hard to hear, and I understand that, and we're not quite sure what someone said, but you know there was someone standing here that's a part of this community. Just hold them. Whatever was said, it doesn't really matter. What matters is this person was here. Hold them in this moment of silent reflection. I will strike the singing bowl. We'll take a moment. I will strike it again, and then we will sing together our hymn of reflection. We hold the celebrations of love, of accomplishment, of opportunity, of gathering with friends. We share the bittersweet moments of transition, moving, leaving, returning. We hold and share the sorrows and concerns of suffering, loved ones suffering, friends in the last days of life. We celebrate, we hold, we share. We are beloved community.
I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. I know this rose
This morning's reading is an adaptation of The Invitation by Oriah Mountain Dreamer. Tell me who you are, but don't just tell me what you do for a living. I want to know what you ache for, and if you dare to dream of meeting your heart's longing. I want to know if you can sit with pain, mine or your own, without moving to hide it or fade it or fix it. Tell me who you are, but don't tell me where you live or how much money you make. I want to know if you can live with failure, yours and mine, and still stand at the edge of the lake and shout to the silver of the full moon, yes! I want to know if you can see beauty even when it's not pretty every day. Tell me who you are, but don't tell me where or what or with whom you've studied. I want to know what sustains you from the inside when all else falls away. I want to know who you are, and I want to know if you can be alone with yourself. If you truly like the company you keep in the empty moments. This ends the reading.
It's time now for our offering, and today's offering will be given to the International Rescue Committee in the aid of Ukraine. This is the first of two such donations that we will do, one now and one in April, so you'll have another opportunity. For those of you at home, you may use the link that it's going to appear in the chat. Please join me as we say our shared declaration. In the spirit of compassion and service, we dedicate these, our offerings.
If someone asked you, who are you? What would you say? It's not as simple a question as it may seem, but it's most likely that you'd immediately answer by telling your name. Am I right? That's the first thing we think of because in most social situations, it's our name that establishes our identity. But names as identifiers are very peculiar. I mean, in this day and age, our names actually reveal very little about us to those who don't already know us. Names in themselves don't describe us, and yet they carry with them the burden and the power of total representation. When we look at the Hebrew scriptures in the book of Exodus, chapter 3, Moses was clearly uncomfortable when God introduced herself out of the burning bush, saying, somebody got that, saying, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. So Moses persisted in seeking clarity. Suppose I go to the Israelites and I say to them, the God of your fathers has sent me. And they say, well, what's his name? Then what shall I tell them? And do you know what God said? Is anybody familiar enough with their Hebrew scriptures that you know what God said? Come on, Unitarian Universalists. God said, I am who I am. He said, tell them, I am who I am. There are more than 600 ways God is identified in the Bible. So one simple question, who are you, can illuminate just how literate we are about ourselves. If we have an answer, it usually indicates that we identify with something. But our identity as individuality is elusive. To know ourselves, we must engage ourselves. We must ask questions. Paula, member of this congregation, she offered the welcome this morning. She says she has always been full of questions. Paula's identity includes artist. She joined her first art group 12 years ago. And when the pandemic was at its height, Paula was filled with new questions, with endless questions, with frenzied questions. They felt overwhelming as she sat down to work on this piece you see in the slide and we have displayed here. Paula explained that the zigzag lines inside the question marks are energetic, like electricity. The dot below resembles an eye taking everything in. The thunderbolts, there are 3 thunderbolts, and they accentuate the storminess of pandemic. But optimism, Paula said, dominates the chaos. Bright colors and lively shapes surrounded by calm. Paula's identity includes Kentucky native and Brookfield resident and Unitarian Universalist. But it also includes artist, revealing a bit of her individuality, expressing her thoughts and her feelings through colors and images without words. You see, identity is not just a set of data that distinguishes you from me and me from you. Identity is something much deeper than that. Ultimately, it's about personal worth and connection. Our identity is how we perceive ourselves in relation to our families, to society, and our values. It's also about how we perceive and value each other. I believe that we actually have the power to shape much of our identity, both our individual identity and our community identity, by engaging in the questions. Engaging in the questions and choosing how we will be in relation with ourselves and with others, whether it's friends or strangers. Identity is whatever makes us definable and recognizable. Christian scriptures, let's see if you're a little better on that. Let's look at the book of Mark. Once when Jesus was traveling around the towns of Galilee with his disciples, he posed to them a question. Who do people say I am? Certainly he knew that everyone was talking about him. Reports of his controversial teaching and miraculous healings were spreading throughout the region. In every town he visited, message and the mission of the religious community. And as a religious community, it matters. It matters who they say we are, who we are. It matters how we are known, how we are identified in the wider community that we reside in, that this congregation resides in. You may remember from a few sermons back, I got a few comments on this, that my colleague, Reverend Fred Small, said many Unitarian Universalists suffer from a chronic identity crisis. You remember that? You may not remember that, but you remember for sure this. He said, we are priests of paradox, apostles of ambiguity, nattering nabobs of nuance. So I want you to imagine living in 16th century Europe, where the Church of Rome is burning heretics at the stake all over the continent, where Martin Luther and John Calvin are protesting the abuses of the Catholic Church, and they're starting a really powerful new religious movement, a movement of their own that is becoming equally violent in the enforcement of its doctrine. And I want you to imagine telling both the Pope and the Calvin, you're wrong. Telling them in a very public way that their doctrines are not supported by Scripture, that Jesus was a man and not God incarnate, that there is no such thing as a Holy Trinity, and that God lives in each of us. That is exactly what 16th century Unitarian Michael Servetus did. No ambiguity, no nuance. You talk about committed to his identity as a Unitarian. Now, you might suspect that that good news was not exactly accepted. Michael Servetus was first jailed by the Inquisition for heresy against the Catholic Church, and he escaped from jail 3 days later. But later, he was arrested by the Calvinists for heresy against the Protestants. And he wasn't so lucky this second time around. Michael Servetus was burned at the stake just outside Geneva, with what some stories say was the last copy of his book entitled On the Errors of the Trinity chained to his leg. And other accounts say he was actually burned alive atop a pyre of his own books. I heard a question in seminary that has stuck with me, and it makes me think of the question when I review the story of Servetus. If you were arrested on charges of being a Unitarian Universalist, would there be enough evidence to convict you? Think about it. I'm going to ask you again. If you were arrested on charges of being a Unitarian Universalist, would there be enough evidence to convict you? I heard a yes. I see a couple yeses, and I believe that. And fortunately, most of us will never face that situation. Being a Unitarian Universalist is not about single-handedly rising to the level of noble sainthood, like some of the historical figures that our mystery buddies had, like Clara Barton founding the Red Cross in the Civil War, or Theodore Parker protecting runaway slaves with a loaded pistol in his desk. It's about being a caring, authentic person, living the values that reside and flourish in your life's center. As a Unitarian Universalist congregation, it's about living our mission. When's the last time you looked at the mission of this congregation? Anybody look at it this week? Wow. Anybody look at it in the last 2 months? Good. Some board members. Full disclosure here, full disclosure, board members. As a Unitarian Universalist congregation, it's about living our mission, being an open religious community that welcomes people, a diversity of people, ideas, and beliefs, celebrating together that which is good in life, offering comfort and care in times of need, with others working to create a just society and sustainable earth, standing as a beacon for independent thought and encouraging lifelong spiritual and intellectual exploration. Wow. If I were someone not familiar with UUCD and I read that mission, I would say, wow, sign me up. Identity is our past, our present, and our future. The past has already been shaped for us. We have 200 years of an amazing history in this congregation, even longer as a denomination of Unitarian Universalists. The present is what we have shaped for ourselves right now. It's where we are sitting right now. But the future, that's exciting, because the future is waiting to be shaped and formed into who we want to be, what we're willing to work towards, our vision, our dreams, the identity we seek. And that matters. Whatever makes each of you as individuals, whatever makes this beloved community definable and recognizable matters. Who do they say I am? I ask you to take that question with you this week. Think of it for yourself. Who do they say I am? Articulate to yourself what you value now as a Unitarian Universalist. Assess the ways in which you already live your Unitarian Universalism. Take it seriously by visibly living it. And then I want you to consider one more question this week. Who do they say the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Danbury is? Who do people say we are? People of this faith tradition. You see, my deepest desire is that the day will come when most people won't say, you know what? Wait, are you those unification Mooney people? Or, oh yeah. That's the place where everybody just believes whatever they want. They do whatever they want, and then they pat each other on the back and debate until they're out of breath. When asked, who is UUCD? I want to hear, that's the religious community with connections. They are connected to a rich history of religion based on reason and tolerance. They are connected to other faith traditions that offer insight and inspiration. They're connected as a community to one another and to the community beyond their walls, feeding the homeless, standing with the oppressed, loving the marginalized, grieving for lives lost and upended by needless war, giving generously to those who seek refuge. I want to hear, 24 Clapboard Ridge Road in Danbury. That is where people with deep compassion can sit with pain, mine or your own, and not move to hide it or fade it or fix it, but be there and sit with it. Those are the people who can see beauty even when it's not pretty every day. They gather together, knowing with certainty they don't have to think alike to love alike, as they work together on the side of love to make a difference, to make a real difference in this beautiful, awesome, and battered world. May it be so.
I invite you to join me in our shared affirmation as I extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world until we are together again. Please join me and Jerry in our hymn of celebration 1008, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. That's it.
When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell our story from deep inside, and we listen with a loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our heart stirs within, and we feel the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place.
If here you have found freedom, take it with you into the world. If here you have found comfort, go share it with others. If here you have dreamed dreams, help one another that they may come true. And if here you have known love, give some back. Give some back to a bruised and hurting world, a world that needs you, that needs us, a world that needs the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Danbury. Shalom. Salam. Amen. Blessed be to each and all here and around the world. Namaste.